Yeah, he's on the right track, but actually it would be even cheaper to build that infrastructure.
Is that right? That's not right. How does that work? Well, it's not working anymore, thank God to Doge, but...
And I like how the guy even... The flagrant guy, he's asking good questions, whether he realizes it or not. He's asking really good questions. This guy's like a huge Trump fan now, right?
Hello, everyone.
Is he actually going to accurately explain? I feel like this... Is it Chamath? I feel like I fought with this guy once on Twitter.
Hello, everybody.
Like, I thought he was like a schizo-conspiratorial random dude. But then I saw...
So, for those of you guys who... There's no way if you're on YouTube, you don't know that this is Destiny. This is Destiny about to lose his mind over Andrew Schulz and the gang talking about tariffs, right? You know, Destiny once in a while can make some sense, but for the most part, he rattles off and babbles so much on semantics. It's just because he wants to win a debate instead of making statements or listening to what somebody's saying and understanding where they're coming from. So he always takes it too far. Where he could land on a good position, he takes it too far. And, you know, he blames everybody else for their biases, but you can see his biases very well, too. But anyway, this is Andrew Schulz forcing Destiny into unhinged babble on his own show live.
I'm talking about something else.
Stock market is nosediving faster than Conor McGregor at a Colombian cookout. People are concerned, anxious, terrified. So, we've asked someone to come on the podcast to calm your nerves, put you at ease. No, not her. We've asked our richest friend, Chamath Pineapple Porta Potty Platypus, the former owner of the Warriors, one of the earliest hires at Facebook, a legit billionaire, and the host of the biggest business podcast in the world, All In. If he would take some time away from surfing on the top of a train to explain why the stock market looks like Saxon Ratliff the morning after a sibling stroke-off. We're going to find out the real end game for Trump's tariffs, what happens if they don't work, and why we might already be in a recession. Indulge in this bonus flagrant episode. Why don't we just start at the tariffs in general? What exactly is Trump doing? What is best case scenario? What is worst case scenario? And then what are your personal thoughts?
Let's look at your Air Force Ones or your Dunks that you guys are wearing there, or your Converse. Those things are made, or Jordans.
All right. So first of all, we did go over the tariffs conversation on this channel, right? Like, so we definitely did do that. But, you know, we'll look at it again. I just want you to know, though, when they bring money experts and stuff like that on, it's hard for me. I think I might know one money expert that I can say who removes his own biases out of things to paint a picture of an appropriate, like, response that has nothing to do with necessarily how he feels about something, or he just speaks to the reality of things and connects everything together. His name is Simon Dixon. He does have a channel on YouTube, and I have the pleasure of knowing him. He's a great person. You know, he really is. But a lot of people, I love Peter Schiff too, believe it or not, but I just get a little weirded out about people's egos sometimes, who want to be right or who have something at stake that they have to defend. With that said, let's just get back into it. I hate the background.
Those things are made outside of the United States, even though the company that makes them is an American company. And what happens is they're made over there, and then they're shipped to the United States, and then they're sold to you guys somehow, right? And you would think that that's all fine and good, because you're like, well, hold on, this is an American company, I'm supporting an American company. And it turns out that the details are a little bit more complicated than that. So starting in about the year 2000, what happened was everybody thought that the right thing to do was to push every country in the world to this form of capitalism. And they looked at countries like China, and they were like, how do we make China more capitalist? And you would say, well, why would we do that? And the governing logic at the time was, if they're more capitalist, they'll also become more democratic. If they are more democratic, they're more predictable the way that we know.
Okay, so already from the rip, that didn't happen. So I'm going to be worse than Destiny here. That didn't happen in 2000. You know, when they started saying we're going to invest in China, that's when it happened. It was 1992. Why is he saying... Maybe there was a discussion in 2000, but this decision was made to start working with China back in the 90s, and it was a bipartisan decision.
You know, like sometimes you could make a claim that allowing these countries to profit was like a national security thing, right? Like, hey, they'll be there for us if, we ever get into a spat with XYZ other countries. So there was a whole host of complex reasons, but the net result, Andrew, was that this dynamic was happening. But it had been happening for a long time.
Question. And then we can move on. Is it possible that the countries were trying to protect the things that were...
Didn't you buy your house at 19? I think it was either 19 or 20, but like I don't know why you think that like you're going to bring out my own life as an example for how you're going to own me or get me.
So his chat is getting mad at him because he's trying to tell them they need to live a certain way when he lives lavishly and lovely. Destiny's also the type of person to tell you like, oh yeah, no, I made it on YouTube, but like, you know, that's not for everybody. Not everybody's gonna be able to make it. I think everybody can make it if they really wanted to. I have a YouTube coach who does amazing. I mean, thank God for him. I'm where I'm at, and if I was more consistent, I'd actually be higher. That's my fault, right? So I think that I think anybody can do anything they want to do. I do, but so his chat is getting mad with him because he's a little hypocritical.
I financed it with an FHA loan, which was like 3% down, and I fucking quit school. I quit college to work 60 hours a week to do it. You can still get a house like I did if you want to do that. And I bought my house in South O, off of fucking 42nd and like fucking Center. No, further south than that. It was 42nd and L, Hillsdale in Omaha, Nebraska. That opportunity is still available to you right now, but you don't want to do that. That's dog shit. You want to go to college and you want to get your degree so you get a real job, so you can afford a better place, right? Which is fine. But yeah, if you want to do my life, you can do my life. You can go do my life right now. Quit school, flunk out of school, start working 60 hours a week somewhere, and then go FHA loan with a girlfriend, because I also did this with my girlfriend at the time, and then go buy a house together. You can do that right now in a shitty city, in a shitty part of a shitty city.
I mean, he is right. So I keep cutting in. We'll look at it a little bit more. Like this is just, the one thing about him, he watches the whole. All right.
We're made there. In other words, like we have all these cool products that are made in America. Obviously, it's very sexy in a bunch of these third world countries. They're like, listen, we can't let the mom and pop businesses or even the corporations that are thriving in this country be outcompeted, if you will, by the American businesses.
Possibly, but then, you know, I would say, well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It can't be a one-way ratchet on globalism and free trade, where it's like, you know, you're going to take our stuff, but we're not going to take your stuff.
I agree with you. I'm just trying to find the justification for the country. Like
I think to be honest with you, it's probably driven a lot by revenue. It's like it was tolerated. Nobody pushed back. Nobody pushed back.
Right.
Because again, we would say, yes, it's happening, but, and some politician.
I can understand your perspective, but it's hard when I worry about money all the time, and we are supposed to be middle class. The stress of it over years is exhausting. What are your worries about money if you say you're middle class? What does that mean to you? Talk to me about what that means to you.
Would insert this statement about democracy and capitalism and long-term national security or what have you as the justification.
And then Americans, we don't want any tariffs because it affects our businesses, right? Like Apple doesn't want any tariffs. I'm sure Uniqlo doesn't want any tariffs. I'm sure Levi's doesn't want anything because it affects the amount of money that they can make. So they're essentially
nobody would want any tariff in an ideal scenario. But now you have to think about like, what is the government of the United States' responsibility?
Totally. I'm just saying like why the private sector hasn't pushed back. And the reason they haven't pushed back is because they would be the ones losing money.
I think they are pretty violently pushing back. Everybody that hasn't been exempted, I think, is pushing back. So, and what they're trying to point out is like, hey, listen, like,
I have no savings.
So, this conversation, just like before,
all kinds of stuff. So your question is the right one, which is what kind of jobs will come back? Or what kind of industries could we have that we don't have enough of? And this is where, look, now you're starting to talk about like a lot of complicated social policy as well, because part of why we don't have people is like a bunch of us were tricked to like go to university and get $200K in debt to take a degree in art history, which was stupid.
Mm-hmm. Who do you think is doing these high skilled jobs of managing like power grids and shit? You think these are just high school grads? Or do you think that we manage our electricity system today in the United States by just having people that just climb up on poles all day? Like, these are probably all like engineering related jobs. Or does he really think liberal arts majors have destroyed the United States so much? And if that's the case, are you going to ban those majors? How do the terrorists help you? It's just like,
you know, instead you should have just gone to a trade school and made $150K a year and had a good life. But then in order to have a good life, you needed to live in a reasonable city that had like...
Should have? Who are you to tell people what they should go to school for? If somebody wants to go fucking get a basket weaving degree, then...
It's making me feel weird because like I'm really agreeing with Destiny because like bro is saying like...
Fucking, you know, God bless. Like, what are we going to dictate? What are we actually turning into China now? We're going to tell people what they have to study?
Not stupid housing policy, right? So like, there's a cascade of all of these issues. So it's probably a little too early to say that exact job that's in China is going to be here, but we don't need that job. But there are different kinds of jobs necessarily.
Sorry, I'm slow. How do tariffs help the examples you gave of infrastructure?
Oh, these guys are doing the drunken swordsman. Like they don't realize it. but they're asking actually very difficult to answer questions, because if they're not like politically super bought into the whole Trump shit, which I don't know if they are, and they're just like genuinely trying to understand this and they're asking questions, none of this is going to make any sense.
Structure.
Definitely not going to make sense, especially for a caution. See, the problem is, he says, sorry, I'm slow. You gave that man an excuse. You're not. He's answering a bunch of stuff that, look, I'll give it to you straight up and down. I already told y'all in my last episode that the tariffs are an escalation to China because of that Panama Canal. Boom. Now what they're doing is trying to make it seem like it's going to benefit Americans. I can understand a tariff in a sense of like, okay, we do need to bring back jobs and it's going to be a little hard. If that was the only thing that was really, I know we get into a hard conversation of intention, but if that was the intention, I could maybe understand it. But when you look at the 90-day pause in all the other countries, and then China's like, oh, I'm going to put up another 25%. And, we're going to put this to China. Yeah, we're going after China. And then I'm seeing tweets of people saying, while we're at it, we should deport people from, who have student visas that are from China. And I'm just like, okay, bro. This has nothing to do with us. So now people are left to explain away something that has nothing, that is a BlackRock decision that's been made.
It would seem infrastructure is irrespective of a tariff. We could build up power lines. We could build up these things without a tariff on.
No, almost, yeah. He's on the right track, but actually it would be even cheaper to build that infrastructure because we could import it for even cheaper than it would cost us to domestically manufacture it. So we don't have those jobs right now when the supplies and the import for that stuff would be even cheaper, but you're saying we're going to make all of that more expensive and we're going to somehow get people working in those jobs and taking care of all of the infrastructure? How?
England.
All of the things that we need, again, it goes back to sort of what I said before, like all of the things that we need, we don't have a really great way of making them here.
Okay.
And so we're like in this very circular
Who's going to make it?
argument all the time. So
y'all are in a circular argument. Over here, we're not in a circular argument. We already realized we don't need to see anything else. And this guy, he is the opposite of some sort, because he does make you feel like, yo, I feel like I don't have a brain. Like, I've never felt so sucked out as far as like my mind, like this warp was too much. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.